uh, with the help of a water cycle we have seen, the rays of the sun will heat the topmost layers of the open water body. They will volatilize and they will experience a phase change from the liquid to the gaseous phase. These gas vapors will rise because denser air, the warm air is always light, whereas the cold air is dense. So warm air will rise above the cold air. They will rise and rise up to a point where slowly, gradually, it will lose this heat because of the dry diabatic lapse rate at the rate of 1 degree centigrade per 100 meters. And then it will form, like come together to form a cloud. These clouds will drift because of the winds caused by the Coriolis effect, and slowly these clouds become so heavy that they will experience another phase change from the gas phase to the liquid phase, which is condensation. When will they form a droplet? It is shown here. The mechanism what we are seeing is the condensation occurs, and simultaneously it has to find the presence of hygroscopic condensation nuclei. Okay, uh, the condensation nuclei usually are in most cases salt particles which have evaporated or entered the atmospheric vapor because of the salts which are in the oceans because of the sun. They have evaporated. Now around these the droplets are formed, and they gain enough surface tension to form a spherical shape, and by the virtue of gravity they fall towards the earth. Now this if this is precipitation, precipitation has many forms. Although rain is the major part and snow is the minor part, it has all these forms, which is rain, snow, sleet, hail, mist, dew, and frost. So I think you must be aware of some of these. Like frost is a frozen dew, sleet is a snow which is mixed with rain. Okay, I hope you will try to see what they are one by one. Say hail are say frozen raindrops itself. So one by one, let us see what is the difference between all these forms of precipitation and how they affect us. Now, drizzle is a very light rain. In easy words, drizzle is having droplets. The raindrops are the droplets of precipitation much smaller than zero point 0.5 mm, and it is a light rain. It is intensity is also less, 1 mm per hour. Now, what is this 1 mm? It is the vertical distance which is collected on the ground, assuming that the rain has not infiltrated or evaporated. It is a long standing rain at that place. So per hour 1 mm, less than 1 mm is collected. This is a very light rain, almost like a we say like a drizzle in poetry. It is very small droplet size also, and intensity also less. Now when the droplets become greater than zero point 0.5 mm, naturally we call it rain. Rain have drops more than zero point 0.5 mm, and but the upper size of the drop is limited to 6.25 mm. Then we are successfully able to classify the precipitation as rain. Rain is most common type of precipitation, you all know. Whenever there is heavy rain, you require warning systems to warn you that the prediction will be that today is a heavy rainfall. Stay indoors or carry your umbrellas. There is a chance of flood risk. So hydrology deals with all these forms of precipitation. Now glaze. Glaze is when the drizzle or rain, whichever is, it freezes midway. Freezes. Sorry, when it comes in contact with the cold objects. Now, every say the temperature, especially at night, is very cool. There is the temperature has dropped to less than 5 degrees or so, then all the objects are very cold. It is almost approaching zero at that time. When the rain falls, after it comes in contact with this cold object, it freezes to form ice. Okay, so that we'll call it as a glaze. You must have seen glaze on branches, on the windshields of your car, correct? That is glaze. Then sleet is something similar but different. Now, sleet is usually a snow which is mixed with rain. Why do we say that? Because midway, when the raindrops are falling towards the ground, midway, somewhere between just reaching the ground surface, they freeze. They freeze to form ice, and just while falling down, because of the low temperatures, they change its form to the solid state. Now that is because they are falling through air at a sub-freezing temperature. That is a sleet. That is the correct definition of a sleet. Okay, I hope you are following. Next is a snow. Well, snow is, as you know, precipitation in forms of ice crystals, and they are formed by deposition. Now, deposition is the clouds which are getting accumulated with solid vapors, and the weight becomes so high, so much that the clouds cannot bear the weight, and it starts precipitating in the form of snow. That is deposition. Okay. uh, okay, so deposition happens when the vapors are getting converted to the solid state, and something opposite that the solids getting converted to vapor phase is sublimation. So deposition and sublimation are opposites of each other. Okay, let's look at the next type of precipitation, which is snowflakes. Now, snowflakes, very beautiful, very common, are symbolic of Western festivals like Christmas. Now, the number of crystals which are fused together, we'll call it a snowflake. As you can see, number of ice crystals are fused together in these beautiful patterns, crystalline patterns. They are a snowflake. Okay. The last type of precipitation which I want to discuss is hail. Now, hail is a frozen raindrops in to tell you easily. Hail is a lumps or bulbs of ice which are over 5 mm diameter and formed by alternate freezing and layering. Now again, as we know, vapors, they are rising and rising. They are changing form to solid state by deposition. Lumps or bulbs or ice are formed, and size is very large, much larger than snow, that is 5 mm diameter. And alternate freezing and layering. It is freezing, it is layering again. Again, the new vapors are coming, it is again freezing. So after a point, these clouds become so heavy that they cannot bear the weight of these lumps of ice. And when do they fall? They accumulate in the nucleus when they come in contact with condensation nuclei, and then when the updraft is no longer, or the upwind, the wind which is flowing vertically upwards, is not able to sustain these clouds mid-air, that is when hail falls down towards the earth, and as hailstones. Now these, whenever there is going to be a hailstone, we require prior intimation of this event occurring, because it is dangerous also, because these lumps of ice are very heavy. Okay, we require forecasting or prediction methods, weather forecasting, to tell us when there will be a hailstorm. Now, strong thunderstorms, they have very tall clouds called as cumulonimbus. That is where these ice balls accumulate, okay, in the nucleus. So this is another fact regarding hail. Okay, so these are some forms of precipitation. I hope you are following. And usually precipitation will not occur in just one form, it may occur in several forms together. Okay, although rain is a major part of this precipitation and snow is a minor part, they all are equally interesting to learn, and they all are basically moisture, or the vapors which have condensed into either solid or liquid form because of the evaporation by the sun's rays, or usually from the top layers of the ocean water bodies. These water molecules agitate, they volatilize, and they are experiencing a phase change. And they will rise and rise because, as we know, warm air is always lighter in density and cold air is denser. Light, light air will always rise above the denser air, that is warm air will always rise above the cool air. and midway it will lose some of its heat because of the diabatic lapse rate, then it will form a cloud. And these clouds, especially these are some special cases which we have seen, like the thunderstorms, which are very tall clouds like called cumulonimbus. But always the clouds will be formed and they will travel long distances. As you can see, clouds are always moving, and whenever they come in contact with the hygroscopic condensation nuclei, they will gain enough surface tension to form a droplet or to form these snows or sleet, correct? And then they'll come back and they'll come back to the Earth's surface by virtue of gravity.